Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Trump's stolen documents case trial set to start in 2 months. It won't, but that's quick. Meanwhile, Hunter Biden pleads guilty. Federal tax and gun charges. In Virginia, primary today could lead to a trifecta for the Republican Party. And greedflation in grocery stores has apparently peaked. Himalayan glacier loss, just the latest sign that the impact of global warming is accelerating at a pace that's even surprising the doomsaying scientists. Haiti is descending into total turmoil. The U.S., the murder rate has declined dramatically in 2023, even though you probably haven't heard anything about it. Southern U.S. hit with a heat wave and power outages. Blinken's China visit stabilizing, but doesn't produce desired resumption of military-to-military contacts. Right-wing online darling Andrew Tate indicted for trafficking and rape. And the New Orleans Archdiocese protected a serial child molester for years. Lastly, Tony Evers about to sign a bill that's going to strike a massive blow at public education in Wisconsin. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us. It is, as my co-host Emma Vigeland says,
NEWSDAY Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Or
we have so many clever
Tuesday.
sayings around here. It really is. It's really
like the
impressive.
Dr.
Our
Seuss's
team
of progressive media.
That's
our
what I
team
like
of
to
writers
call us.
is
But
our team of writers is really kicking butt.
less
Should
racism
probably go on strike.
than Dr. Seuss. Yeah.
Let's get into it, shall we? The big plan that Trump has had is that he's going to delay with all of these criminal trials. In fact, they probably, but for the sort of Damocles that's hanging over his head, they're probably relatively helpful to him insofar as it makes Republicans have to make a decision about what they're going to do in terms of supporting him or not. And it also, I think, has probably led to a lot of good fundraising that's going on. It also taps into the right-wing sense of aggrievement that exists, without which it's like their oxygen. But he also wants it to go slow because he doesn't want any of these things to send him to jail before the election.
Right. Before he can get into office and pardon himself.
It's a fine balance that
He's
needs to be struck.
I'm putting all my chips in on the pardon thing.
Did you see Man on the Wire? Okay, let's here he is with Brett Baer. And this was just yesterday. And Brett Baer is getting all sorts of plaudits for actually asking Donald Trump hard questions. They're harder than most questions you hear Donald Trump, because generally he's not in a position at this point to be asked by anybody who who would dare raise any difficult questions. But I think more relevant is it just gives us a sense of where Fox News is trying to be in this sort of run up to the 2024. But here he is asking Trump about all of these boxes of documents that there's been these pictures about.
You mean the box hoax? The boxes hoax?
Folks, I call it the Great Box.
The Great Box.
All right, go ahead. Here's clip number 1.
The only way NARA could ever get this back, would be please, could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
Because they have no.
They did ask for it.
No, and
they said, "Can you give the documents back?"
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
which
back.
they've never done before.
Right. And
in
but why not
fairness,
just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet. And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but
I've been
according to
very,
the
very
indictment,
busy.
you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things.
What? Well, first off, was he busy?
Yeah, he's like, you know how it is, spring cleaning, it can get really hard and you want to procrastinate on that front.
He had 16 months. I mean, if he ain't going to do it in the first 16 months, and like, what is he saying that he's going to literally himself go through these things?
Apparently,
he can't get a lawyer to look through them.
Yeah,
And
I love when he says which they've never done before in regards to the indictment. The reason they've never done it before is because no one had ever been this brazen in just completely defying what the law had clearly stated, and they gave him ample opportunity to return these things.
I love the indefinite language. He's like, this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
but what documents did he have mixed in there?
I don't know.
Like, where did they get I
Some,
had
Burger
some
King
cufflinks.
receipts.
I had cufflinks. I had
Yeah.
receipts. Yeah, I needed to get reimbursed for some stuff I bought. And but meanwhile, the case has been set, and this is sort of interesting insofar as you probably know, the judge assigned to the case is Aileen Cannon. She was the one who first intervened in this case and basically did all sorts of things that were overruled in terms of trying to help him out in
Trump
the
appointee.
context of, and so it sounds like she's under a lot of pressure to not drag her feet in this case because everybody knows that's what Trump wants. The trial is set to begin as early as August 14th. There's no way that's going to happen. I'm telling you right now, there's no way in 100 years that that's going to happen. First off, he doesn't even have a judge. He doesn't even have a lawyer.
Yeah.
And not only does he have to get a lawyer, but because of the nature of these documents, they have to do background checks on the lawyer. And that takes weeks, if not months, sometimes to do. And so,
and the lawyer's going to have to apply for security clearance.
that's what I'm saying. They got to do, when I say
right.
background, I'm saying the government needs to do that as well. And, he's still interviewing a Florida-based lawyer to help him with the case. And there's all sorts of other, who knows what other sort of motions they're going to file to slow things down. It would go anything that if the government does not agree with in terms, or I guess theoretically Trump did not agree with Judge Cannon's rulings, it could pause the pretrial proceedings and appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals in the 11th Circuit. That's not a terribly it's not necessarily, it's not the Fifth Circuit, but it's a little Trumpy. Let's put it that way. But we'll see. I think Trump would have rathered this to be scheduled later, but nevertheless, he's going to try and draw it out as much as possible. We should also say that the magistrate who was appointed in that case, Judge Bruce Reinhart, reminded the Trump team that when you get information from the government for this case, don't disseminate it on any news or social media platform.
Yeah.
Is that
In other words,
Truth Social?
Oh, I can't blackmail you with
That's going
why
to
do I
be
even
very
want it
difficult
then?
for him. That's going to be super. I mean, he couldn't
the
even
point?
help himself from like 3 or 4 days after E. Jean Carroll successfully sued him for $5 million. He went on national television and defamed her again, and
Yeah,
now she's
lied.
reopening the suit. So
She's lying and crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
she's adding a couple more counts, I guess, to another suit that she had. The first one was about the specifically about the rape. The second is and the defamation. The second one is like another set of defamation charges. He's not what a lawyer would say would be like an excellent client.
Yeah, he doesn't have discipline. Let's put it that way.
And just to bring the Fox News-ness of this whole, people remember Brett Baier, what he was doing on the actual Trump-Biden election night. He was in email saying, hey, or reiterating to folks that Trump's team is pissed, and this whole call we made about Arizona going Biden, we might want to at least put it in Trump's column for a little bit until it's more apparent because people are mad at us.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow. He's got a CYA. That's part of what Fox is doing with the
He's a
tough
company
interview.
man.
Yeah, because of the whole dominion of it all.
All right, we're going to play a couple more clips from that interview in a second. But first, a word from our sponsor. I wish we had a cha-ching noise for this Shopify ad. But when you get it, it is when you hear cha-ching, as it were, that means that you've made another sale on Shopify. And Shopify, as you know, it's the commerce or the e-commerce platform that is revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. And partly because it's not just an e-commerce platform. It doesn't matter whether you're selling it online or offline, if you have an in-person point of sale system, because it all integrates. Lets you sell across social media platforms and marketplaces like TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. It also doesn't matter what you're selling. You could be selling, I don't know, plants or shoes or Majority Report merchandise or seeds for all sorts of types of plants that grow up and, seeds, flaky salt, or you can be, it doesn't matter. Art, Shopify simplifies selling online and in person so you can focus on successfully growing your business. It is packed with industry-leading tools to ignite your growth. Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand. And here is the best part. You don't have to learn any new skills in design or code. In fact, we're going to integrate our Shopify with our YouTube channel so that people can be able to just buy merch right there. Part of that whole integration with different social media platforms. And most importantly, for people who are technically challenged like myself, they have 24/7 help and an extensive business course library. Shopify is there to support your success every step of the way. Look, Shopify is what we turn to when we needed to set up our Majority Report merch site. It's what we turn to when we set up the Seder Seeds site. And I can tell you, the amount of technical know-how and experience that we have here in aggregate around the show is very, very tiny. And we're able to set it up with ease. We're able to change our products. And the thing, if we ever got like really good at selling this stuff, it is scalable. Also keeps very easy records for us. It couldn't be easier. And that's the thing that's amazing about it. No matter how big you want to grow, Shopify is there to empower you, gives you the confidence, the control to revolutionize your business and take your business to the next level. It's your turn to get serious about selling and try Shopify today. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/majority. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com, shopify.com/majority. Take your business to the next level today. Shopify.com/majority. As always, we will put the link in the podcast and YouTube description for you to check it out. $1. You might as well try that out. See what you can sell. I need to get my daughter to do that. All right, let's go into this. Let's get this Trump stuff out of the way before we get on to the genuine criminal, Hunter Biden.
Oh, yeah.
The Kaiser Sose.
Exactly. Exactly. Here is Brett Baer. It's funny. On one, there's two. We got more clips of Brett Baer. The first is what everybody is saying is going to be the second one. Let's play that second. The second one is what everybody's saying should be the ad that the Democrats run in the general election, assuming Trump is the candidate. I don't know if I buy that, but it's pretty funny. But here is Brett Baer asking, how are you going to win back the independent suburban woman voter? And maybe really Republican woman voter. Here is Brett Baer. It's clip number 2.
What do you say to that female independent suburban voter who feels that way, to win her back?
First of all, I won in 2020 by a lot, okay? Let's get that straight. I won in 2020.
You know that
and if you look at all of the tapes, if you look at everything that you want to look at, you take a look at Truth to Vote, where they have people stuffing the ballot boxes on tapes, or
Mr. President,
let's go to recent. Well, wait a minute. Let's go to recent. FBI Twitter. Let's go to recent. The 51 agents, all corrupt stuff, Brett.
Understand about the Hunter Biden,
no, but
all
that's cheating
fair
on the
things.
election.
But
that's cheating on the election.
You lost the 2020 election.
Brett, you take a look at all of the stuffed ballots. You take a look at all of the things, including things like the 51 intelligence agents.
There were recounts in all of the swing states. There was not significant widespread
We're trying to get recounts, real
There were
recounts, not just numbers of votes
widespread
cast.
corruption. There was not a sense of that. There were lawsuits, more than 50 of them, by your lawyers, some in front of judges that you appointed.
Look at Wisconsin.
That came out with no evidence.
Wisconsin has practically admitted it was rigged. Other states are doing the same right now, and it's continuing on.
There have been
It was
reviews
a
of
rigged
every
election.
potential case of voter fraud in 6 battleground states, and they found fewer than 475 cases.
You know why? Because they didn't look at the right things.
Okay,
Brett.
are you going
they
to
were
be
counting? They were counting ballots, not the authenticity of the ballot. The ballots were fake ballots. You had this was a very rigged.
Are you
election.
going to go? This is how you're going to tell that independent suburban woman voter?
No,
to vote for
we're
you?
off to winning an election, and I think we're winning very well. I got a poll just recently. I have it here.
No, I know, and I watched the numbers.
We're winning very well.
But what's amazing about this is that I don't think it's going to change. Like, I don't think that changes anything. I mean, it's porn essentially for people who are going to vote against Trump.
Do we really think he's not going to? I think he's going to do fine with particularly white suburban women of a certain class. Like, I think, they'll be there for me again, like they were last time.
No, I think to the extent that there's going to be, I think that he's going to have problem with independent women in that way. It's going to be a function of Dobbs. I mean, that is to the extent that there's going to be, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. You know, I think left on their own devices, the people who voted for Trump last time would vote for him again for the most part. I think the real issue is going to be Dobbs. That's
the turnout game is are people going to turn out for Trump with all this baggage in the same way that women in particular are going to turn out to vote against abortion restrictions? That's I think the number one question. He's now changed his tune, I guess. It used to be that ballots were disappearing or getting ripped up, and now the ballots in and of themselves are fake. Although maybe it was always a blend of the two. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I mean, the easier thing is we should have disenfranchised more people before the election, which I think is what he's hinting at now.
I will say this. I mean, I think what's interesting about that is it's very easy to believe that people who already inclined to believe that the election was stolen to watch that exchange and walk away going like, that's interesting. Maybe they didn't check the authenticity of the votes.
I mean, this is what he was like with Obama with the birth certificate. No matter what factual information was presented, he always had an answer for why it was forged or fake or made up.
This is also, I think, instructive in terms of like how difficult it is to argue with a conspiracy theorist. Mm-hmm. I mean, the reason why to us it sounds like, and people, watching this broadly speaking, it sounds like, Trump got the worst end of this is because a nominal ally in the past, Fox News, had turned on him. And so it's really not the quality of the conversation. It's almost like the quantity. Like one player switched to the other team, and therefore it diminishes him. And when you get into a situation where the teams are not as clearly divided, and it's not clear, who and where to argue, and I'm thinking about all the anti-vax stuff, because just like Trump could say, look, they never checked the authenticity of the ballots. And like on its face, it's sort of like, well, did they? Mm-hmm. And then you start to think like, wait, what does that mean? Check the authenticity. Like, what are you suggesting, that there were millions of people casting fake ballots, or that the ballots were changed? Or it is once you dig deeper, but we all understand the voting process. Like, we know it's not you don't need to have a PhD to understand how the voting process works. Maybe the tabulations, you need to know something about computer science. But when you talk about something like vaccines, and you talk about the way that tests are done, and in the way medicine is developed, et cetera, very easy to make it sound like your argument is legitimate when it's not. And ignorant ears, and I mean that in the sense that most of us are ignorant about what makes up a vaccination or a vaccination trial, or Wi-Fi signals and how it affects the brain and research and stuff like that. We're all more or less ignorant because we're not doctors. It's very easy, I think, for people to be swayed by this stuff.
It's sophistry. I mean, the Greeks saw it, right? Like, it's just like what's persuasive in the moment. And it's really sad that we have the simulated idea that we need debate this stuff on media platforms, as opposed to actually doing work of interrogating science and doing studies and stuff like that.
Well, we're kind of talking around the RFK element of this, but that is what we're hinting at here, I would say, is just
no, I didn't even mean to hint at it.
No.
We'll get to that clip in a minute.
We will, but it's important to see the anti-vax conspiracy push in the same kind of lane as that of the ballots harvesting or stuffing that Trump's speaking about here, because there's an entire millions of people in this country primed to think of things in that way,
totally.
and seeing internalizing this incredible skepticism for any kind of expertise or academic rigor, and in fact reflexively pushing back against it. And media outlets are aiding and abetting it. And the only reason Fox is covering their ass right now is because they just got sued for hundreds of millions of dollars for peddling the conspiracy theories that Trump wanted.
And Brett Baer has to play I'm the news guy, remember, despite what the way I acted during the. But here is the tough questioning that Brett Baer is famous for. Now, and do I think this is an effective ad campaign? I I don't know. Maybe it would impact normies. I doubt it on some level. I think, frankly, the legal cases against Trump are going to be the ones that impact if there's any sort of Republican voter who is going to stay home. Who knows? Maybe it just reminds people of just like how much scandal and how much turmoil Trump creates. But here's Brett Baer going through the
rhinos that are all against me.
All of the Lincoln Project types.
In 2016, you said that. I'm going to surround myself with only the best and most serious people.
Well, I did do that.
This
and we
time-
had tremendous, look, we had the best economy we've ever had.
This
the world
time-
has ever seen.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second defense secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock. And your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Canadian, milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife.
Subtle.
So, why did you hire all of them in the first place?
Pause it for
Because
1
I
second.
hired
You know what? I just, as we go through that list, I'm not sure about saying Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife. Like, I'm not sure I don't know Elaine Chao's policies enough and I don't think Kayleigh McEnany, the first thing I would say is milquetoast as much as I would say, like, bat crap crazy.
Well, Brett
but
Baer's
all of
new
the other
colleague.
critiques, I think were fair.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said this is not a good ad.
John Kelly, horrible human being, frankly. Mick Mulvaney, yes, idiot. Rex Tillerson, not that bright for a guy who ran Exxon. All of like Pence and Pompeo and Nikki Haley, they're horrible people.
Yeah, bad.
They're theocrats. Mattis. Yeah. Like, why do we even have a general in there? What did he do? I mean, all of the critiques that Trump made, I think I like to think I would have made more sophisticated ones, but
also you wouldn't have hired those people in the
And the
first place.
China-loving white
Exactly.
part is just like that's just casual racism because she's Chinese American and like, I mean, the audience is gonna love that crap. It's a cult of personality, and he's elevating himself as above all of this other riffraff, and Brett Baer is making that case.
I mean, again, this is just like this is porn for folks who would vote against Trump anyways. But I'm not sure that it's as moving as people seem to think it is. But let's go back. I mean, it's funny.
It's hilarious.
But let's go back.
Tillerson, dumb as a rock, and your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Canadian, milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife. So, why did you hire all of them in the first place?
Because I hired 10 to 1 that were fantastic. We had a great economy. We had phenomenal people in charge of the economy. We had phenomenal people in the military. I'm not a fan of Milley, and I'm not a fan of certain of the television people. But I knocked out ISIS. I defeated ISIS. They said, Mattis,
I defeated ISIS.
It would take 3 years, and I don't think we can do it. I did it in a period of like 4 weeks.
There's a lot of people who praise you for your policies. I just said that.
That's true. Well, I mean, you just went through a list. But don't forget, for every one you say, I had 10 that love us. And one thing happens, I find, with...
I mean, did Trump...
Yeah.
Is that the longest Trump has listened to anybody without interrupting them? And why doesn't he interrupt in that situation? Because he's like, everything you're saying's true. Go on, go on. I mean,
Exactly.
he thinks it's good for him, and it probably is, to be honest. Like,
I'm the top dog.
I mean, in 2016, there was a moment where Fox News, at least like Megyn Kelly, decided I'm going to go hard at this guy, and it had no
Well,
effect.
that was because she was having women's time.
I know, she was bleeding out of it everywhere. But why would we think that this would be any different? I mean, you know, this is not going to move the Republican voter that already loves Trump. It's just not.
They're going to come around too. I mean, that's if he doesn't go to jail and he's the nominee, they're coming around. Trust me on that.
Sure thing.
Let's get into the Hunter Biden plea deal. Let's let Ben Shapiro introduce this idea. This is Ben Shapiro just a week ago today talking about Hunter Biden.
Yeah, and also I would say, as Bradley pulls that up, the Biden DOJ and its integrity in general. And I mean, we don't know when Ben's show airs, but he's got to be correcting the record on this any second now, I'd imagine, or at least, you know, pouring praise onto Joe Biden himself.
All right, here it.
Everybody under the sun is now attacking and attempting to prosecute and put in jail Donald Trump. And so Trump, predictably enough, is like, okay, fine, you want to do it? I'll do it too. And this will be the game from here on out. When the Justice Department gets reduced to pure politics, you got a problem. Now, I hear people screaming, all right, well, but you just said that Trump may have committed criminal activity here. The allegations against him are very strong. That's true. The only way that you actually restore the credibility of the justice system is to have Republicans prosecute Republicans and Democrats prosecute Democrats. Because the minute that this now crosses the aisle, we become so politically polarized and partisan that if the basic line here is that Republicans are just supposed to accept that Republicans who are guilty of crimes get indicted and Democrats who are guilty of crimes get slots on CNN and MSNBC, that is not a workable solution for anyone. In order to reestablish credibility, when credibility has been lost, when an institution has lost its credibility, everybody has to do something painful. Everybody has to do something. Everybody has to make a sacrifice. The sacrifice in this particular case would be Joe Biden looking at this and saying, listen, I think that he probably committed the crime, but guess what? I'm not going to prosecute him because we believe that Hillary Clinton should have been prosecuted.
This is so.
Or at the very least, you could, I mean, this would have been an easy call, by the way. The DOJ could have said, at the same time they were doing this, politically speaking, Merrick Garland could have said, we're also bringing charges against Hunter. Right? That would have shielded, because Hunter is clearly guilty of a bevy of crimes up to and including violation of gun law. So that could have happened. They didn't do that either. Again, the double standard is what's going to destroy the credibility of the institution. The only way to restore the credibility of the institution is even-handed application of justice against your own side, not when it looks politically valuable to go after your chief political opposition. And that's why this thing is going to remain incredibly polarized.
First off, let me just say this. That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. The idea of how you would increase the sense of integrity of the Department of Justice is not to go, we indicted one Democrat, now we indict one Republican. We indicted one Republican, now we do a Democrat. That's the dumbest way to achieve integrity from your chief law enforcement agency. That is not what the DOJ is supposed to be whatsoever.
Yes,
not at all.
Isn't that what Lady Justice is holding there, though, with those two scales? On one side, it's the Democrats, and the other side, it's Republicans. And you have to make that as even as possible for true justice to exist.
The stuff about Clinton is also ridiculous because there were 4 years when, according to Ben Shapiro, Donald Trump controlled the DOJ and could have. In fact, they did investigate. At the very least, we know they investigated the Clinton Foundation.
If they would have, they could have.
For years, they investigated the Clinton Foundation quietly, and they just ended the investigation because they couldn't find anything. I am no defender of Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton, but it is not like the DOJ did not investigate them. And if Ben Shapiro's brain-dead version of what constitutes an actual operating Justice Department, which is a tit for tat to make it all equal, Donald Trump controlled that agency for 4 years. And now we can also assess whether people should trust Ben Shapiro, because the Department of Justice has been investigating Hunter Biden and has essentially come to a plea deal with him on 2 sets of charges. One deals with unpaid tax liability. Well, I guess a delayed paid. He has paid the apparently $1.2 million in taxes that he owed for 2017 and 2018. Again, that was an investigation that was started during the Trump administration. He has paid back the IRS what he owed, and apparently had to do with, like, I don't know. I don't know. We don't quite know the details of where those taxes were owed. He's going to get 2 years probation for that. On the gun charge, apparently you rarely get, he lied on his application to get a gun, denying using drugs or having a drug problem, which I think everybody in the country now knows. He has used drugs and had a drug problem. So he made a false statement on the gun background check, and his gun possession was illegal once he acquired the weapon. Apparently he had the weapon for 2 weeks because his girlfriend threw it out, which is probably a good idea. Adam Winkler, a UCLA professor who focuses on gun policy, said prosecutors typically would not charge lying on a gun form as a standalone crime, instead filing it as a secondary charge when someone may have also committed a violent crime with a weapon. So it's almost like a seatbelt law in many states, which is you never get a violation for seatbelt unless it's in conjunction with something else. But in this instance, that's different. They're going to go. They've given him a diversion account, which apparently is a sort of like a no low contendere type of situation that they will often give people who have a drug problem and associated, sort of misdemeanor there. So he has got a plea deal. Let's see what Ben Shapiro says about that.
Why look, he says, why look, a plea deal that involves no jail time! ! So now the goalposts have shifted here. The goalposts have shifted a lot. He was essentially saying in that first clip that in order for Lady Justice to be even, you have to go after the Democrats as well as the Republicans. That's our constitutional duty. Yeah. But now that he's pled guilty, which is probably why one of the reasons he avoided any jail time, although based on what I've seen about these particular charges, they're quite infrequently pursued. This was partially done in an effort, I think, to appease those freaks like Ben Shapiro. But putting that aside, the reason that he didn't come close to any jail time was because of the plea deal. And he manned up to it essentially. But it's just this. I don't know what the thinking is in the Biden White House about this, but I mean, Biden has these kinds of brainworms too. I mean, he kept Christopher Wray in charge of the FBI because he felt that this would stave off some of the criticism about the politicization of law enforcement on the federal level. And I also believe that the special counsel handling this case was also a Republican, if I'm not mistaken, Bradley.
Yeah, it was the same guy who was appointed during the Bush era. So There was no change. It was Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss, who was, again, a holdover from from Trump's administration. So all of these people were Trump people.
Yeah.
All of them. It was the deal has to be approved by a federal judge. And I'm not sure which judge it is.
Oh. All right, we lost.
Opened during the Trump years. and it was done by a Trump appointee.
I mean,
so
yeah, the idea that law enforcement or the FBI in general tilts towards the Democratic Party when there's never been a registered Democrat who has led the FBI is hilarious. It's hilarious, but it's a false dichotomy that they set up because, time to downplay Trump's numerous charges and crimes, and make it about Hunter Biden, Biden's son.
I want to just take this opportunity. Digby had a piece that she wrote on her blog, Hullabaloo, the other day, just reminding some facts about Burisma that we've forgotten. And so that, because this is going to come back up again too. I don't think, frankly, anybody but Republican voters care about the Hunter Biden stuff, but it should make watching the clips of Comer and Grassley on Fox News trying.
Okay, Sam's having a bit of an issue really quickly. All right, we lost Sam for a second. Sorry about that, guys. He's gonna reconnect.
General, I guess.
Sam.
Sam, we just lost you for about 20 seconds. There.
Yeah.
Am I back?
You are back.
All right. Sorry.
That's okay.
When did you lose me?
You were just to launch into Digby's stuff on Burisma.
Okay. She has a great piece on Burisma. Just a reminder, a couple of facts that you should remain aware of, so that next time you see Comer or Grassley on television on Fox News, it's more funny for you. Joe Biden did, in fact, pressure Ukraine to fire their version of the Attorney General, Shokin. And Shokin, this was stated U.S. policy. It was stated European Union policy. And one of the reasons why they were citing as part of his, his corruption, was that he was not investigating a company called Burisma. Just want to be clear on that. Go back and look at the contemporaneous news reports on this.
Were they doing
one of the reasons why they wanted Shokin to be fired was because he was not investigating Burisma. So, and
false flag.
It's the Jedi mind trick. This is not the company you were looking for.
Okay, we are having some technical issues with Sam. Let's go to a quick break, I think, and then we will return to this topic.
Sorry about that. So the fact is they did not investigate. Shokin was not investigating Burisma. The hiring of Hunter Biden happens after this whole issue about Burisma and the pressure that the U.S. was applying to fire this investigator, Shokin. And there were investigations that were launched on the original allegations. One was by Bill Barr and one was by Chuck Grassley. This was back during the Trump years when Rudy Giuliani had supposedly met with, or somebody who had met with Mykola Zlochevsky, who was the former head of Burisma. And both Grassley and Barr found nothing. In fact, Barr gave the investigation to Durham, who proceeded to basically just bury it because there was nothing there. Apparently, the document was one of Giuliani's and known to Barr and the DOJ since June of 2020. This is the form that was filed with the FBI. Politico reported back in 2020 that Giuliani's former accomplice, Lev Parnas, who incidentally I went as on Halloween, I think it was back in 2019, met with Zlochevsky the year before in 2019. And when asked what contacts Zlochevsky had with Joe Biden, he said no one from Burisma ever had contacts with VP Biden or people working for him during Hunter Biden's engagement. The table saying we need to get this information. And apparently they found it somewhere. They got that information. So that just gives you a rundown of what we had from Burisma back in the day, because now that Biden has done a plea deal with this stuff, they cannot harp on that stuff. They're going to have to move it back into the missing witnesses and whistleblowers who have all disappeared, and the documents and the tapes and this and that for Burisma. But it should be fun to watch. Meantime, let's take a break and head into the fun half.
Yeah,
we'll take some phone calls.
Yeah, good idea.
Just a reminder, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member at jointhemajorityreport.com. When you do, you not only help the show survive and thrive, you get the free show free of commercials, and you get the fun half, and you can IM the show with our app at majorityapp.com. Don't forget, check out the Discord. 9,000 people, all sorts of stuff going on our Discord. And justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or chocolate. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. Emma, what's happening on ESVN?
Yesterday, Bradley and I had an episode of ESPN where we spoke about Bradley Beal being traded to Phoenix. We went even more in depth on the A's potential relocation or seemingly likely relocation to Las Vegas, billionaire greed, and all of that. And we played parts of an interview with the great Dwayne Wade and Shannon Sharp about what Dwayne Wade, and thank you, Matt, for that recommendation, how he's been this like great father to his trans daughter in the face of like a lot of hatred and also toxic masculinity that sometimes is inherent in sports.
And
YouTube.com/ESPN show.
Really developing into a role model that I think the media should promote more, as opposed to this bullshit supposed debate about trans people and how far they're taking things. The media should be spending less time on Matt Walsh and more time on Dwayne Wade, who I think is model. Like there are people out there like who need to see how a man deals with having a trans child, and we're not getting any of that. But Dwayne Wade, like the way he talked about that, and like, hey, especially in the context of, okay, I had a born son with two of my friends who also had sons born at the same time, and I wanted him at the time to grow up to be a basketball player with those other three, and guess what? That didn't turn out to be the way I wanted it, and I just have to allow that. So like this whole narrative that he was like,
that was my expectation until I met my child.
Exactly, and that's how this actually goes. And the implicit idea that parents are the ones sort of forcing this on kids is such a backwards and sort of disgusting and misanthropic smear of people that it's horrible and can't be allowed to let stand.
And I just want to add, he also goes into the fact that his ex-wife, the mother of Zaya, is not supportive of her transition and what that's like for his 16-year-old daughter. it's really a great interview. Check it out too on ESPN.
Matt, what's happening on Left Reckoning?
Yeah, Left Reckoning tonight. We're talking some San Antonio politics. Also get into some other stuff, including probably the submarine thing, and some unfortunate that charter school news you headlined up top in Wisconsin. Some not great news out of the upper Midwest.
All right, quick break, fun half.
You are in for it.
All right, folks, 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
Are you ready?
Who sent us this?
Anarchy. Alpha males are back. Boy is back. And the alpha males are back.
Just as delicious as you could imagine.
The alpha males are back. Boy is back. And the alpha males are back.
Just want to degrade the white man.
Alpha males are back.
I take all of it in my throat.
Alpha males are back.
Snowflake says what?
The alpha males are back.
You are a madman.
And the alpha males are back.
Oh no, Sam Seder! What a fucking nightmare!
Bring back DJ Danner.
Yeah, or a couple of them. Just put them in rotation.
DJ Danner.
Well, the problem with those is they're like 45 seconds long, so I don't know if they're enough of a break.
That's fucking nonsense. You see white people doing drugs, they look worse than normal white people, and all white people look disgusting.
And the alpha males,
psych, fuck them.
Snowflake says what? Snowflake says what?
A hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank. Okay, I'm making stupid money. Hell of a lot of bank. A hell of a lot of bank. All lives matter.
Have you tried doing an impression on a college campus?
I think that there's no reason why reasonable people across the divide can't all agree with this. Psych.
And the alpha males are back. And the Africans are black African. And the alpha males are black. And the Africans are back.
When you see Donald Trump out there, doesn't a little part of you think that America deserves to be taken over by jihadists? Keep it at 100. Can't knock the hustle. Come on, fuck them. Things I do for the bigger game plan. By the way, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me, Jew boy.
I have a thought experiment for you.
And the alpha males are back. Africans are black. Alpha males are black. Africans are back.
Come on. Someone needs to pay the price for blasphemy around here.
I am a total pussy.